Hello, beautiful people. Nice to see you again. Today I'd like to tell you about a guy I once met called Genpo Roshi. He was the abbot of the Zen Center in Los Angeles. A very powerful guy who had done a lot of meditation in his life. And he told me that one day he was a little bit worried about what was going on in the Zen Center. It seemed like the students were not so happy, and the teachers were sort of not as disciplined as he would like, and things weren't moving so well. And so he did something quite revolutionary for a Zen monk. He asked 2 psychologists to help him. And these psychologists were called Hal and Sidra Stone. They're quite famous actually. They discovered the voice dialogue method. And voice dialogue is that you can ask your system, can I speak to the wounded child, or can I speak to the critical father figure inside of me? And all these voices become audible, which gives you a lot of insight into what's going on inside of you in terms of self-talk. And so Genpo, one day he wondered, what about the enlightened voices? What would happen if I would ask somebody, can I speak to the enlightened master inside of you? What would happen? And so he was playing with this thought, and then one day a very new Zen student was standing in front of him, like on an audition in a sense. I think this guy was into Zen for maybe 2 weeks, and so he was really, really new, and of course very, very nervous because he was standing in front of the great Genpo Roshi, and there was also these monks sitting in the back, and he was like, oh. And so Genpo saw this quivering young man, shy and nervous, and he said, I want to speak to the enlightened master inside of you. And he said, before my surprised eyes, this guy, this nervous man, changed into a serene figure, enlightened. And he said I could ask him anything about spiritual insights or whatever, and the most beautiful answers came through him. He was really there. Genpo was looking at this guy, and he thought to himself, I've been sitting on a cushion for 29 years. This guy has just started 2 weeks ago, and already he's there. Just because I asked him. Just because I gave him permission to speak from that part in himself. Now, isn't that interesting? That's why I always say you are already enlightened. Because you just need to give yourself permission to speak and to live and to resonate with that part of you that is already whole. It's there. It's very, very close. In fact, it's so close we don't see it. It's like my hand. I don't see my hand now. It's just too close. That is how close it is. You are already enlightened. And so after a while, Genpo stopped being the abbot of the Zen Center. He wrote a book called Big Mind, Big Heart, in which he says, basically, you are already big mind. You already have access to all knowledge, to all wisdom. And you are already big heart. You are already truly compassionate and loving. You don't have to study for that. You just need to remember. And maybe you need somebody sometimes to give you permission. But because hardly anyone ever says to you, can I speak to the enlightened master inside of you? We have to do it ourselves and give ourselves permission to speak from that place inside of us that is already whole and enlightened. So good luck with that today, and have a beautiful day. This is Tijn from Amsterdam, loving you very much and thanking you for being here and listening to these little movies that I love making. Bye for now.